Hello, my name is Michael Dahl. I am a San Bernardino City Unified School District demonstration teacher teaching math at Middle College High School. And I just wanted to share this quick video a couple of uses for this website, Padlet, padlet.com, with a distance learning application in mind. So I shared Padlets on my Google Classroom with my students, and I created a topic in the Google Classroom called Distance Learning Information, kind of a go-to place for the resources. And you see here that there on the top, there's a topic, there's a section for Padlet. And one use that we're using Padlet with is for posting questions in the kind of a back channel during our synchronous discussion. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Padlet and kind of how to set one up. When I click on there, then the students will have a link to the Padlet. And the idea is that when we're having our synchronous discussion, I want to invite students and welcome students to ask questions, to create this even though we're distance, even though we're remote learning, still this community of trust within one another, and be able to ask open-ended questions and be able to say that there's something that was discussed that is confusing or needs more clarification. So I welcome students to post that in the chat or to raise their hand or to unmute their mic and ask. However, I also want another option, another opportunity for students who still don't feel comfortable in doing that. So having Padlet run as a back channel provides students another opportunity where I can see on a different tab or a different screen if I'm running side-by-side screens with maybe a laptop and an iPad right next to it. And I've created a couple of these kind of bulletin board back channels for a couple of classes. So when I'm teaching my class, and if I run through a topic maybe a little too quick, or there's a point of clarification needed, or maybe there's an aha moment where a student has a question for depth of knowledge and deeper understanding, then they can click on our Padlet, and I have a model here for them, kind of a guide, that when they create a new, it's almost like a text box, when they create a new text, and if they're using their phone, then they can just, or an iPad, if they have a touch screen, they'll just touch on the screen and this text box would appear. Otherwise, if they're using a Chromebook or a laptop, they would click that plus like I did. And then just the routine, the protocol that I'm asking students to do is to start with their name as a title, then they would post a question. If the students were working even asynchronously on something, then they could take a picture and include the picture of the problem. Then I've set some parameters, I've set some settings in the Padlet so that when students post that, only I will see it unless I approve it. So for some students ask some really deep questions, some really thought-provoking great questions that I want to share, not just with that one class period. That's why I have this Padlet for all my Math 1 classes, so they all have access to this. So then I'll reach out to the student and I'll ask them, can we share that? Can we share that insight with all the classes? And if they feel that they are okay and they allow that, then I'll go ahead and allow the post to go to the Padlet, and it'll be there as a resource for every class, for every student. If the student does not want to, because they don't want their name attached there to that post, I ask them, would it be okay if we post that question or that insight or that thought without their name, so as anonymous? And then I'll just delete the post and ask them to post it again, but this time without the name. And then we have this comment there on our virtual wall for all the classes to see. So some settings, if I click on the wheel here for settings, some settings that make the Padlet kind of a powerful tool in this distance learning environment and teaching are some areas where we can customize. So we can customize the name. We can customize the background with the wallpaper. I had some fun with the Star Wars background. Then here, I think these are powerful tools where if we wanted to create some dialogue in class, if you wanted some running discussion, you could allow viewers to comment on other posts. Right now, I don't have that. We could also allow for some reactions. So you see, I do allow this on the bottom. If there's a post, then someone can click the heart, which is a like, or we can upvote or click. There's some different options with the star. And then these last two. So again, the post will not show automatically unless I approve it. So I have this area here checked, this toggle set so that it requires my approval to actually post. And then there's this other feature here for our students to make sure that we maintain our correct vocabulary and don't have any profanity. And if for some reason that were to slip, then it would replace, the Padlet would replace that with an emoji. Then another setting is when I click on share. Another setting to kind of focus on maybe is to look how the Padlet's going to be shared. So if you just want it with your students, then you can copy the link, and like I did, post to your Google Classroom. The Padlet will also provide you with a QR code. So if you wanted to post a QR code, if your students are using a QR code reader, or if they have an iPhone and that is already embedded in their camera, you can share on your Google Classroom, which requires connecting to Google Classroom. So I haven't done that. I've been able to use the Padlet just fine, just by posting the link on the Google Classroom. Then here, if you look at the privacy, right now I have it so that visitors can write. So if we change privacy, we might look down here. I have it so that it's secret, so only my students who have the link can have access to it. I don't have a password set, but I have it set as secret. And then here we can change the permissions, where it might be read only, it might be that they can write, or that they can actually edit. So I have this kind of back channel set so they can write, so they can create in a post. But then again, in those privacy or in those settings, I have it set so that the students can only they can post it where only I can see it, and then I have to submit an approval for it to actually kind of get tacked onto, if you will, the bulletin board. And another way that we're using Padlet is to showcase kind of like that bulletin board. So just as a view only, I want a digital bulletin board to showcase student work and to highlight successful work. So I've created a different Padlet. I've created a different Padlet just for the class period. And this class period, I have some student work that students either took a photograph of their work and submitted it to Google Classroom, or they submitted it digitally. And so I took screen captures and just clicked and dragged the screen capture onto this Padlet. But then in this case, I have the settings set so that it's just view only. So the students cannot add, students cannot edit, but this is a place where students or their stakeholders, they can share the link with their family members, with their peers. And this is a place that we want to celebrate student excellence and student work. So I have a task here, and these students did well with their graphs. If we select on one of the graphs, that makes it larger, so then we can see. And then I have, for student privacy, I have just the first name for the student, just the first name, which is blurred out. But then this is, again, a way that if I were to have a section in my classroom, physically in my classroom, to showcase student work, this is the same idea where we are showcasing that student work. So then that's two ideas, how to incorporate Padlet into a distance learning classroom. Please let me know if there's any further comments or questions. Maybe how do you use Padlet, and send me an email. And thank you for watching.